All right, everyone, welcome to the StarCityGames.com Las Vegas Open Quarterfinals. Team Constructed Open here with Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan in the booth. Nick Miller down in the feature match area. We take a look there at our scoreboard. Zeros for now, won't be for long. Tan and Grace playing Legacy against Nathan Steuer. That's Grixis Delver versus Grixis Control. Ross Merriam and Richard Liu. It's Grixis Phoenix versus Hardened Scales. And then Brendan DeCandio on Golgari midrange against Brett Parise playing Golgari midrange. It'll be a Darksteel Citadel, an Arcbound Worker, and a Welding Jar to start. Keep in mind, in our elimination rounds, players have access to each other's deck lists, so they know exactly what they're up against, as Ross is going to play a Thought Scour and turn over a Lightning Bolt and a Mountain. We're heading back to Ross now. He's going to play and crack a Flooded Strand right away, and we might see a turn 2 Thing in the Ice here. And Thing in the Ice is a card I like a lot in this matchup. This Hardened Scales deck just really doesn't have removal. So Thing in the Ice is going to be able to hang out for a while.
And not much in the way of reach either. You kind of have to get it done through combat.
Yeah.
And it's not, it takes a lot of commitment to the board to even attack through an 0-4 for this deck.
Classic players, we have the final standings.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly Walking Ballista, right?
Yeah.
If you hear your name in the top 8,
They're Thing in the Ice.
Turn in your deck to the judges at the judge station next to feature matches. Please proceed over there as soon as you hear your name. Our top 8 at first place.
We're going to head over to Richard Liu in just a moment.
Joe Lossett. Second place, 16 points. Justin Hadley.
Did you just hear that announcement?
15 points.
I know.
Aaron Gibbons in third.
Some things never change.
Yeah, they really don't.
Adam Feifels in fifth.
So right now in our hall, John Carter, a fantastic judge that Patrick and I have known for a long time.
He certified me. He was my level 1 certification judge. He was the one who, gave me my test or whatever.
He's announcing the Legacy Classic top 8 competitors, the standings, and Joe Lissette is number 1 overall seed. So some things never change.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Arcbound Ravager going to come down after that attack with the Arcbound Worker that Ross did block. Now we're going to head back over to Ross. 4 ice counters on that Thing in the Ice, and it's going to work its way down. Ross, of course, in the middle seat there, Team BCW. Another top 8 for this very dominant trio here on the SCG Tour. Still working on hashtag Get Tan in a Trophy. They have 2 second-place finishes, both brutal. But maybe this is the weekend they get it done, especially with the team of Joe Basoko and Dave Thomas not in the top 8.
Yeah, dominant performance for that squad on the first day. 8-0, lost the last round, but still first overall standings. Won early on day number 2, but couldn't get that last win over many efforts in the last few rounds.
Ross is going to think about this turn quite a bit because when you have a Welding Jar out there, along with an active Arcbound Ravager with a creature that also allows for modular, there's kind of a lot going on this battlefield, and Lightning Bolt and Lightning Axe don't look particularly good.
Also wants to be kind of getting the Thing in the Ice melted down a little bit while also not being in a position where he has to flip it over before he's ready. So the sequencing here on his spells and cantrips here is a little bit complicated.
Melted down was nice.
Yeah.
That's good. I get it. That was a nice one. One of the reasons Ross plays Gut Shot in this deck, not only is it kind of good against certain decks, it's good in this matchup, but it's free.
Right.
So right now you might be looking at Ross's battlefield and saying, oh, okay, well, he can play maybe 3 spells, 3 1-mana spells. He might be able to play multiple spells and you not realize it. So Ross is going to start by playing another copy of Thing in the Ice now, Serum Vision. He'll draw a card and scry 2. As explosive as this Hardened Scales deck can be, it is much less explosive when it doesn't have the card Hardened Scales on the battlefield. So I don't think Ross is in any trouble as far as continuing to play this game. I think he should be okay in that regard.
And sort of a backup plan for these strategies is, well, if I get enough modular stuff going on, I can be really hard to maintain via removal. But Thing in the Ice doesn't care about all that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of pressure for Lou in this matchup to have hardened scales because he needs to have a clock. Setting up a board that's hard to interact with the removal or tricky against blockers isn't really what this matchup is about, especially in the games where Merriam has Thing in the Ice.
If you are in the top 8, I will be down by the SCG Tour feature match area in just a moment.
So Richard Liu is going to think about how he wants to operate on this turn.
After the top 8,
You see the Ink Moth Nexus out there. That's a way for this style of deck to get the job done, and we're going to see Richard Liu do some attacking here. Looks like Ross is happy to take the damage because I imagine that Ross can transform next turn.
Well, I think that just the Thing in the Ices here are too valuable to risk. Even if it's a attack that Lou is just making for free, why risk anything? These cards are so dominating against hardened scales.
The follow-up is a Steel Overseer. And now we're going to head back over to Ross. And he's already reaching for mana, so I feel like this is probably going to be a big turn, and Manamorphose isn't a bad place to start. He'll remove 2 ice counters there from those copies of Thing in the Ice. Now he's got to figure out what colors he wants. He's picked up a copy of Thought Scour. This will be a Thought Scour. Down to 1 counter on the copies of Thing in the Ice. Arclight Phoenix. And Manamorphose will be placed in the graveyard. New card coming here from Merriam is a copy of Lightning Bolts. Ross has 2 red mana floating. He will now transform both copies of Thing in the Ice. 7-14. Yeah, I think Richard's dead.
Yeah, because Ross has a bolt. He gets the Phoenix, 2 Phoenixes back now.
Yeah. Yep. So he's going to transform both of these, bolt him, get his Phoenixes back, and attack him. That'd be 7, 14, 15, 16, 17, 23.
Easy.
On the 4th turn of the game for a deck that you would not expect to be able to do that. That is a win for Ross Merriam over Richard Liu. Grixis Phoenix looking very nice in that particular game over Richard Liu in his Hardened Scales deck. So that was pretty impressive. I'm into this deck, man.
Yeah, that was not competitive.
No.
That game.
No. I'd have some real fears about this Hardened Scales deck just because I do think it's explosive, but you really need Hardened Scales.
Right.
Yeah. And even if he had Hardened Scales that game,
It would not have mattered.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have mattered.
All right, well, fair enough. We are going to talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale real quick, and then we'll take a look at those sideboards here for both players. Now, it is important to keep in mind, folks, you don't have a ton of time left to save on casual and commander favorites. It'll be up to 33%, and some of our favorite cards here, and apparently the very expensive Ristic Study.
Yeah, you got about 12 hours left. 33% off select casual and commander favorites over at go.strategygames.com/weekly sale. 11 a.m. East Coast time tomorrow. New sale. Make sure to be going back to the website. See what the new categories are.
Solemn Simulacrum. Any stories with that card? What did you play in that? Like you played Affinity, didn't you?
I played that. No, I played a lot of the sort of the big red Furnace Dragon style strategies.
And you played that.
I played Solemn Simulacrum at U.S. Nationals one year in the mono red Seething Song Sith Flyer Walker Sword of Fire Nice deck.
You had that card in your deck?
Solemn? Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Shrapnel Blast.
Okay.
You draw a card. You get to draw a card.
Any Graveback stories? You get to draw a card.
No.
No. Warm Coil Engine, it's too new.
I've lost to it a ton.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a story, I guess.
And then Ristic Study?
Not really. Did not play that much casually and was never a feature of standard or block when it was printed.
I always like Solemn. I wonder if they're going to reprint that card. I don't think it's too good, right?
I think it's just too much. You could reprint it, it'd be fine. I think it's just too much a green card. I don't know what about that as an artifact. It's so green.
All right, that makes sense.
That's the problem with it. Okay. Artifacts already have this issue of sort of blurring the color pie. You know, like if you go back to the original Ravnica, the Signets, I think, did a lot to blur Green's Mana Fixing and Accelerating because the signatures were so good and so ubiquitous.
Okay.
And Solemn Simulacrum's got a lot of the same problem. That card, if that card was green 3 colorless, I would have no problem with it. It's just not an artifact.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. That's a fair take, I think.
Yep.
It's a fair take.
I also was, that card's a relic of yesteryear. I don't think it would be nearly as good now as it was 15 years ago because creatures have just gotten so much better.
That's actually kind of what I like about it, though, is that it wouldn't be that good.
Right, it would be a lot worse.
Yeah.
I think.
All right, sideboard time. Let's take a look here, folks. Let's start with Richard Liu and his 4 Dancing Spheres, 3 Nature's Claim, 2 Karn Sign of Urza, 2 Dismember, 2 Tormod's Crypt, a Relic of Portentous, and a Graph Digger's Cage.
I mean, there's not a whole lot here to like.
There's really not, no.
The Relic, I would probably side in the Karns, I feel like. Sometimes it can take Ross a little while to get the ball rolling, but this is, I guess the Dismembered. You got to kill Thing in the Ice.
So that's what I was going to say. I think you got to kill Thing in the Ice. You probably have to kill Crackling Drake, too, if it shows
Sure,
up.
yeah, it's going to be good if it shows up.
I will say this. Ross, when I talked to him yesterday, he said a lot of people have been sideboarding in Graveyard Hate against him. It doesn't do anything.
The Relic is a freebie. It's low opportunity cost.
Sure.
The other sort of Tormod's Crypt with Graph Digger's Cage, that's a much larger commitment that I don't think Lou should do. But the Relic is, whatever. You cycle it if it's bad. It's not a big commitment.
Yeah, his point was a lot of people think that he's playing Bedlam Reveler, and he's not.
Right.
He's playing Crackling Drakes. Now, Crackling Drakes, of course, also rely on their graveyard, sort of. But if those cards are exiled, Crackling Drake's still huge.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. So
Right.
it gets around that problem, which is pretty cool. For Ross, 3 Anger of the Gods, 2 Abrade, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Dispel, 2 Surgical Extraction, a Ral Is It Viceroy, Ceremonious Rejection, a Disdainful Stroke, and an Engineered Explosives.
I like the Ceremonious Rejection, the Engineered Explosives, and the 2 Abrades, and the 3 Anger of the Gods. The Sweepers and the, sort of anti-artifact measures I think are good.
Well, those are your options there for both players. They're going to shuffle up, sideboard, all that jazz. Richard Liu's actually ready to go. Ross is just finishing shuffling here. You see DeCandio and Parise in a Golgari mid-range mirror. Those can be lengthy sometimes depending on the number of fine finales that are cast and the Carnage Tyrants that'll be trading. And then Tannen Grace and Nathan Steuer. Looks like they're still battling it out. And I think if we're going pretty late, then Stewar's probably in a pretty good spot. But I think Nathan's in a good spot anyway. I think the matchup's good for him.
Yeah, I think so too. There's so much pressure on Tannen to waste land or otherwise, invalidate Stewart's openings. If it goes on this long, the card quality, there's just such a big difference.
Mm-hmm. We want to get our eyes on this here really quickly because we saw both players in the middle putting their eyes on this, and we will as well. Looks like we got a pretty complicated game right here.
Vivian Reed emblem.
That's a lot. Don't see that every day. And it's called Golgari Mid-Range Mirror. You see Nathan Steuer now up a game in Legacy over Tannen Grace. Not too surprising. If the game was going that long, Tannen's got to win a short game. He cannot win a long game in that matchup. Or if he does, it involves peeling some lightning bolts, but that seems really tough.
Yeah, that deck's really good at defending itself.
Jadelight Ranger going to do some exploring. Now you see Richard saying you should play that Memorial, which Brett is happy to do. DeCandio has a lot of cards, and that's a good one in this matchup in Carnage Tyrant. Now this emblem, just so you know, with Vivian Reed, creatures you control get +2/+2 and have Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. So free roll to attack every turn.
Yep. And it's moat on the way back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you see Brett just kind of touch those creatures and say, I'm jamming in. I'm just jamming in.
Magic player Jess Trafton, please report to table 308. Your Legacy Turbo is ready to launch. Jess Trafton, I see you walking towards
There's a Carnage Tyrant. Maybe a little bit better if it has +2/+2 and everything else.
Yeah, it's a combo with the emblem.
Yeah. I admire Brennan for playing it out.
Team Get Tan and Grow Trophy, you can't be scooping up until Lethal's actually coming across.
Yeah, until it's all done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that'll fix it. Wild Growth Walker. And Brett will draw. Everybody.
If Brennan wants to play another turn, we might see a chump blocking turret. Nah, he won't even bother with it.
All right, he's got him beat. Ross is still shuffling.
He's shuffling.
I think he might be shuffling Richard's deck.
Opponent might be mulliganing, perhaps.
All right. I just thought Ross was just in a time loop.
Oh, sure.
And just still shuffling his own deck, waiting for that game to be over. But I think, yeah, Richard has mulliganed. All right. All right, looks like Richard has found a hand that he's happy with. So now we turn our attention back towards Modern. His team BCW is down right now. It looks like Richard's on 6, Ross on 7. Richard conferring with Nathan, the young master. And it looks like they'll exchange some deck lists there in our standard match so they can sideboard appropriately. But we turn our attention back to our modern match as Inkmoth Nexus Arcbound Worker is where Richard will get things rolling. Now he's drawn a copy of Hardened Scales and has the Forest for it. Such a strange deck though, because Hardened Scales is like the best thing you can do on turn 1, and like it might take you off curve.
Yeah, and I think that Lou is sort of struggling with that call right now because he has an Arcbound Ravager in his hand and the Hardened Scales, and you sort of set yourself back a turn.
3:30 standard challenge players.
Yeah, but if I'm Richard, I want to get my most powerful card onto the battlefield.
And also, this play is so much better against the sideboard cards that Ross has. It helps against Anger of the Gods just to make some things bigger. And it's possible Ross has drawn his one copy of Ceremonious Rejection also, in which case casting an artifact's a lot worse.
A little Thought Scour action there from Merriam. Will place 2 cards into the graveyard, and then he'll draw a card. A Lightning Bolt among those cards. See DeCandio and Grace getting ready for game number 2 while keeping a watchful eye on Ross. A Manamorphose here from Merriam will start the turn. He'll add a little bit of mana to the mana pool, and now there's a sleight of hand. So he has either a red or a blue mana floating as he resolves his sleight of hand. He'll look at the top 2 cards. One will go to the grip, the other will go to the bottom. And now there's Faithless Looting. So Merriam will draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, and perhaps there's an Arclight Phoenix to get involved here.
Yeah, I mean, that's 3 spells if he's got it.
No Arclight Phoenix, just a couple of lands. Pass the turn back.
4:30 Pauper Challenge players. Your
Richard will draw.
Hearings are now
Looks like
posted.
Tormod's Crypt,
Again,
perhaps?
4:30
Yeah.
Pauper Challenge
Well, we were worried about
players.
this. I think that a card this specific is not going to be good very frequently.
I mean, if talking to Ross earlier was any indication, this is exactly what he wants his opponents to be doing.
Yeah.
He doesn't care, really. There's an Arcbound Ravager. Now here's an attack.
And if you're going to do it, I would also... I'm not a huge fan of letting Ross just flash back the Faithless Looting here.
I don't hate it just because if that's your entire turn, if that's his entire turn, then Richard, if Ross flashes back Faithless Looting and doesn't have a gut shot,
Is he just dead? He's just dead to the Ravager and to the Nexus?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So one thing I learned about this deck.
Yeah, I guess it might be better for you to have the Crypt just as something to eat rather than nuke the graveyard. Yeah, that's fine. Never mind.
One thing I learned about this deck playing my teammate Ben White at Grand Prix Detroit earlier this year. He was just like, if you think they're dead, they're probably dead.
Yeah.
If it feels like I'm pretty sure they're dead, then
Sure.
Inkmoth Nexus is easy mode. There's Faithless Looting. When you have hardened scales, it is so easy to kill your opponent. We also have to discard 2 cards here from that Faithless Looting. Oof. Bolt and Anger. Cards that you would think would be good in this matchup.
Well, the spot removal plan's just really tough to have work against hardened scales and this amount of modular and movement of counters around and such.
Yeah. You know a little about that. You were an Affinity player for a little while. Block Constructed. You played at the Pro Tour, didn't you?
I played Red-Green Shatters.
Oh, right. You were on the wrong side of it. Right.
I was definitely on the wrong.
Yeah, me too.
Molder Slug, Glissa, Tel'Zalad Chosen.
Yeah. Dead very easily.
1 and 3 against Affinity at that Pro Tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Troll Aesthetic.
That's just a bad card.
It was good in the mirror.
That's
Which
true.
once you lost a couple matches,
true-ish.
Once you lost a couple matches, that's all you played against.
Troll Aesthetic is one of those cards when you look at it, you were just like, this card is awesome. It was just okay. Inkmoth Nexus is going to get fired up. I'm going to try to kill you.
I don't think he's going to. Do you think he's going to shove here? Why?
So he doesn't have to shove. Doesn't have to.
I mean, if you want to eat the Tormod's Crypt or something just to get a little bit more damage, that's fine. But with Ross having 2 open mana, having just discarded a Bolt, like there's no way it's good here. Just pass. There's so much pressure on Ross to keep a lot of mana up.
Yeah, he's going to make a move. So this is the move I kind of like a little bit, which is I'm going to sacrifice Arcbound Worker. Modular is going to target Inkmoth Nexus, counter on the stack that goes on the Ravager, which means that the Nexus will turn into a 3/3 if it resolves.
Yep.
And then if that resolves and Ross tries to bolt it, I have Blinkmoth Nexus to provide cover. Now Gutshot can be beat with the Inkmoth or with the Blinkmoth Nexus activation.
Yeah, not a huge fan of using the Gutshot here when the trick's on the table.
So now that resolves. So now we have an Inkmoth Nexus that is a 3/3 with a point of damage on it.
Right.
Oh no.
Yeah, I just think Ross discarded
He
discarded
lightning
lightning bolt
bolt,
last.
yeah.
I don't think you're good here. And also, this exchange this turn was already.
This is a lot. Yeah, this is a Braid or Bolt or something. Yeah, if he discarded Lightning Bolt, you can't shove. If you want to make like a small move, it's fine.
I thought that he was already getting the better of it, and you just send it back.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. I don't believe you could be good. There's no way you're good.
So I'm fine with like making it into a 3/3.
Yeah, I thought everything leading up to that moment was good.
Yeah.
Like you traded the Gutshot for some mana you weren't using.
Yeah, if your opponent discards a Lightning Bolt to Faithless Looting, you can't make that play.
Right, you're done. There's no way you're good. There's no way.
Hanger back Walker here for Richard. Yeah, Tormod's Crypt's going to take care of the graveyard.
With all that said, loose position is still not that bad. He's under no pressure. It's got Hardened Scales plus Hanger Back Walker, which is not the easiest thing for Ross to manage.
Yeah. I know that a little earlier when we were watching Ross, like the first time we watched him, we were a little surprised that he just didn't have like any Snapcaster Mage type stuff.
Yeah.
I think his entire plan is like his graveyard is not meant to, well, that's a beating.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, his graveyard is not the resource I think people think it is.
And also, he just taps out every turn doing other stuff. He's
Yeah.
not trying to get a little extra card advantage and whatever.
There's Metallic Mimic. And a walking, yeah, it's Metallic Mimic naming Construct, and then a Walking Ballista, which will be a 1/1, which I guess technically would be a 2/2. Well, rejected. Ross doing pretty good this game. Now he just needs like a Crackling Drake to end the game or something. Here's a Metamorphose. Got a Lightning Axe in hand.
4 p.m. Modern Challenge players. Your round
And
3
Arclight
pairings
Phoenix.
are now posted. Again, 4 p.m. Modern Challenge players.
That looks like no
Your
attacks.
round 3
Yeah, just
pairings
hanging
are now
back.
posted.
All right. Looks like this is an Ancient Stirrings that was drawn. Do you like hanging back?
My instinct was to attack, but
I'm not sure that Ross has inevitability in this game.
Eli Loveman
I think he's
and
doing
Sean
well,
Grimes.
but you do have an opponent that has Hardened Scales.
For your classic prizes, Eli Loveman and Sean
yeah,
Grimes.
racing's tough though too. I mean, if it might, you might feel like, well, if I hang back, they're probably not going to attack because the Phoenix might come back, and that breathing space is maybe better for me than trying to race.
Well, then Arclight Phoenix is going to hang back. Richard Liu does have a copy of Archon Ravager in hand from the Ancient Stirrings. Brennan DeCandio tied things up in his matchup, so Golgari Midrange Mirror is going to game number 3. And Tannen Grace appears to be another long one. And again, if that's the case, probably not great for him, as Richard Liu will draw a card. He's going to play an Archon Ravager, it looks like. No, I think that's a different one.
art. That's different art
Yeah.
than when he got off the Stirrings.
So that's an info leak.
Although it's possible if you're Ross, you're like you're like not 100% sure that's what happened.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's a long 2 days.
It is. It is. That's why people like to play with the same artwork.
I've had the 90% sure it's that 10% semi-sure I'm hallucinating experience at the end of these things.
Yeah.
So I'm not, But yeah, if Ross is on the ball, he knows that Ravager was drawn, and the last card in hand is also a Ravager.
I think Ross is giving this a pretty long thought again. He's going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand. That'll be an island. He's going to Lightning Axe, Metallic Mimic.
Full price.
It's not a cheap way to do it.
But, once the Ravager's down, then using removal spells gets so much worse.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go back over to Ross Merriam. I think he's out of cards except for what he drew. Arclight Phoenix is going to come in here for 3. It's 14 all. That's an Anger of the Gods.
Really good with a Phoenix.
Yeah. There's the other Ravager.
Come on!
Yeah. Here's Thing of the Ice. This is getting good. This is getting good. All right. Ancient Stirrings. Top 5 cards.
I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, well, there's another Ravager. Arcbound Worker will be a 2-2. Smash you. Nathan Steuer won his match 2-0. He's 12-0 on the weekend, except for the matches that he didn't finish.
Good run.
Not bad. Not a bad tournament, Nathan. So now we're making a big-time move. The Ravager is a
Put him to death.
7-power creature, yeah. I like that shove. Yeah, that shove's great, too, because if this doesn't work, as it's Crackling Drake. All right. I was going to say, if Ross has nothing, he can just dump it on the flyer.
Yeah.
Next turn, that Blink Bomb Nexus and kill him. What's this? Chart a course. Sure. 1, 2. Discard Scalding Tarn. Gut Shot would be so good right now, probably. I'm so in a Gut Shot. Shove on the Nexus, get blown out.
I mean, that Drake's got to be lethal, right? So much is exiled.
It's a pretty big Drake. Yeah, it's not bad. 17. Not a bad looking Drake. Another Ravager, perhaps?
I mean, well, I
No,
suppose.
Can you do that?
Do what?
Another Ravager?
No, then you're just dead.
You're just dead, right? Yeah.
You need to attack, chump block with a Nexus, and then whatever, play from there.
Yeah.
Would like to come play one round of Standard or Turbo Modern, please come see us at the side events registration stage. And we are looking for 2 more for our final Turbo Draft of the evening as well. 2 players for our Turbo Draft of the evening.
Yeah, so this turn is attack with Ravager. Thing the Ice has to block.
Right. Chump block.
Yep.
And then, or Ross can't do anything, whichever. Yep.
Draw. Thing in the Ice. He's got a spell to play, obviously. Attack you. Nope. Nope. You lose. I presume he selected Destroy Target Artifact. Ross Merriam's going to win this game and match over Richard Liu. 2-0. Go to the next match. Whew. DeCandio. Parise. Golgari mid-range mirror. This should be good. Last time we watched this, it was a disaster.
Looks like Parise with the Carnage Tyrant. Brennan's creature is much more modest by the looks of things.
Well, DeCandio means serious business right now because the glasses are off. For Brennan, he's got a Ravenous Chupacabra, 2 Wild Growth Walkers, 5 lands, among them a Memorial to Folly. For Brett, he's got a Jade Light Ranger, that's a 3-2, a Carnage Tyrant, Llanowar Elves, 6 lands, 2 of them produce black, no Memorial to Folly. That's your battlefield. Both players have some cards in hand. There's a block. Carnage will ensue. The follow-up. Looks like a fine finality in hand. Jeez. All right.
Yeah, I think from Parise's perspective, just cushion yourself as much as possible against the Reborn Edict. Just have enough creatures on the battlefield that you're never sacrificing the Carnage Tyrant.
Wild Growth Walker, Jade Light Ranger. Explore twice. Vivian Reed. Yep. Gain a bunch of life, put a bunch of counters there. It's a pretty good position here for Brett.
Ahead on the battlefield, in the position to attack with a Planeswalker coming. Really good. Okay.
And, well, yes.
And a Terminate.
Your turn, Brennan. Well, that cast down makes it even tougher.
Yeah. So you got to be Vivian Reed cast out, glasses coming off, temples rubbed.
Yes. Rub-a-dub-dub.
We're going to a bunch of 4 and 5 mana cards that aren't that good.
Probably doesn't have enough mana to play 2 spells.
No, his deck needs 9.
That seems like a lot. Has Fine Finality in hand, which doesn't do a ton.
No, the Walker's at 3/5 now, so it's out of range of that. And if you run that, then you're dead for sure to the
cast down.
The cast out. Cast down.
You can play Chupacabra and kill something. Doesn't do a ton.
Yeah, it's just I don't know how he's supposed to get enough in front of everything to block next turn in a way not to die, to cast down on the Carnage Tyrant block for more trample damage.
And now this is Find. Yeah, this just isn't the winning combination. Mostly because Brett gets to play 2 spells this turn.
Yeah,
That's the other problem.
well, also if you cast down the Chupacabra, then there's no. He's just on chump blocking duty.
Yep.
Because he doesn't have a block he can line up on the Jade Light Ranger. He's just double chumping.
I think in this spot you just attack though, right? Because if DeCandio makes the wrong block, you just win.
I suppose. I mean, there's no. Yeah, I guess because if he tries to double up on the J-Light Ranger to do something good and puts a single chump blocker in front of your Carnage Tyrant, you can kill the one on the Carnage
And
Tyrant.
trample over for the W.
Yeah, I mean, DeCandio saw the card, so there's not a block to really screw up here, but you're right. Technically, just attack first.
Yeah. Because he's got to double block the Carnage Tyrant because he knows about the cast down. Like his hand is forced to do that.
Yeah.
So then he just loses his squad.
Right. There's no way.
There's nothing good that happens.
He loses everything and doesn't kill anything. There's no way for it to not wash out that
So
way.
I would have got in there with that little Llanowar Elves.
Me too.
Come on, give me that
Yeah,
point.
I think you should have attacked with the elf.
Give me that point. You're dead. If he
right.
sees it, he's dead. You're dead. That's it. Bet Parise, Richard Liu, Nathan Steuer win this match and eliminate Team BCW. Operation Get Tannen a Trophy, unfortunately, comes up short again.
Still a great run.
Always a great run with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, being able to consistently finish this well in these team tournaments is very impressive. It's not easy to do, but again, that trophy is going to have to wait for another time.
Well, the problem here in this match